As we create our animation, we may find it difficult to position our ball properly in relation to the previous ball sprite just by scrolling back and forth in the score, as we had been doing. We open our score window and we can scroll back to where we were, and what we had been doing, let's open our cast window, is selecting our sprite, our cast member, dragging it into our score, and seeing where it was in the previous sprite, and then just trying to eyeball it, drag it down into the next spot, which isn't, exactly perfect. It makes it kind of a strange path sometimes that our animation takes. Now, it would be helpful if we could know the exact coordinate position of our ball in the previous frame, so that we could just position our ball in the next frame so that it was just a few pixels up and to the right of the previous one. Now, when we select our sprite, we see its registration point as a small dot in the upper left-hand corner or over the center of the sprite, depending on what kind of cast member the sprite is referring to. It's easier to see it if we drag it over this green area. See the little blue dot in the upper left-hand corner? That's the registration point. That can either be in the upper left-hand corner of the sprite or over the center of it. Now each sprite has a precise position on the stage that is represented by the distance of this registration point from the top left corner of the screen in pixels, which are little picture elements that make up the screen. Now, we can see this position by selecting our sprite, either on the stage or in the score, and we can see its position in our score. Now, in order to see it, we need to make sure that our Sprite toolbar is available. We go to the View menu, select Sprite toolbar. Usually this is on by default, but you may have to turn it on. And this gives us all sorts of information about our sprite. So, if we look here, we have our sprite selected. This gives us its position in terms of a Cartesian X and Y coordinate system here at the top of the score. So this is 247 pixels from the left edge of the screen, and it's 273 pixels from the top edge of our score here. Now if we drag it to the left, notice that the number decreases. It's from 243 to 212. That's called a Cartesian coordinate system. Now, selecting this ball, our previous ball, reveals that its registration point is 203 pixels from the left edge of the stage, and its Y position, its registration point is 274 pixels from the top edge of the stage. So we can position our sprite by saying, okay, well, we want this next one to be 208 pixels from the left edge, so we'll move it over to the right a little. And the next one, we want it to be a little higher, so we want it fewer pixels from the top, so we might make that one 269. Okay, so we want 208 and 269 for our next ball. So we select this, 208, and it's already at 269 pixels. So now, when we scroll back, we see this one was 203 and 274. So it's 203 pixels over, 274 pixels down. Now our next sprite, we selected, is 208 pixels over and 269 pixels down. So it's moved to the right and up. So that might be an easier way of positioning our sprites precisely. Now, we can also view and change our sprite's position by selecting it in the score, okay, and opening the Property Inspector. The Property Inspector, one of the things that it tells us if we click on the Sprite tab, is the X and Y position of the sprite that we have selected. So as well as changing the sprite's position here in our score, we could select the sprite, open the Property Inspector, and change the X and Y position here as well. So let's close this, rewind, play, so that we can view our animation. Okay, now you may have had difficulty seeing all of the frames of the animation because I remind you that this video that you're watching is only 5 frames per second. Our score is progressing through at 15 frames per second, which means that you're going to drop some frames. So the animation of the ping pong ball will appear even more jumpy than usual. Just an aside there.